does it feel to have been vulnerable like that in a room of 24,000 people and I don't know how many millions of people watching at home?
It feels human, I think. I think being an athlete, people kind of disregard that side of us, the human side of things. And, people say so many things like, number 3 in the world and you're doing this or you're playing like this and you should be better and things like that. But like at the end of the day, like I feel like I've already, if I stopped and didn't pick up a racket tomorrow, I've have a career that so many people would dream of. But I think I just showed people what it's like to be a human, and I have bad days, but I think it's more about how you get up after those bad moments and how you show up after that. And I think today I showed that I can get up after feeling the worst I've ever felt on the court.
Karoline Leavitt made racial remarks about Coco Gauff on live television, and now she's facing a $25 million lawsuit. The comment was caught on camera, went viral within seconds, and turned into a massive controversy. Coco didn't stay quiet. She didn't accept an apology. She filed a lawsuit and took this all the way to court. Have you ever watched someone say something so offensive on live TV that you knew their life was about to change forever? Drop your thoughts in the comments. So Karoline Leavitt was on a late-night political broadcast, one of those shows where everyone's yelling over each other and trying to score points with hot takes. The topic was sports activism and the cultural influence of young black athletes. Somehow, Coco Gauff's name came up. And that's when Karoline decided to make a comment that she probably wishes she could take back now. The remark was caught on live television. Not edited, not taken out of context, not ambiguous. It was clear, it was racial, and it was heard by millions of people watching in real time. The studio froze. Other panelists looked uncomfortable. The host's face went blank like he couldn't believe what he just heard. But the damage was done. Once something airs live, you can't take it back. Within seconds, social media exploded. Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, every platform was filled with clips of the comment. Hashtags started trending immediately. People were demanding accountability, demanding apologies, demanding that something be done. The clip was being shared millions of times, with everyone from regular fans to major celebrities weighing in. Coco Gauff was at home in Florida when this happened. She wasn't even watching the broadcast. Her phone started blowing up with notifications. Friends texting, family calling, her team trying to figure out what to do. She finally watched the clip, and apparently, she watched it multiple times trying to process what she was hearing. This wasn't just rude or offensive. This was a direct attack on her identity and humanity. Her parents sat with her as she made a decision. She wasn't going to let this slide. She wasn't going to accept some half-hearted apology or move on like nothing happened. She was going to file a lawsuit. A $25 million lawsuit for defamation, emotional distress, and civil rights violations. And she was going to make this as public as possible. The next day, Coco held a press conference. The room was packed with reporters, cameras everywhere, microphones lined up waiting for her statement. She walked in wearing a simple navy blazer, looking calm but determined. And then she laid it all out. She said racist remarks were made about her on live television, remarks designed to diminish who she is, and she was suing Karoline Leavitt for $25 million. The reporters gasped. This wasn't just a statement condemning the remarks. This was legal action. Serious, expensive, public legal action. Coco made it clear this wasn't just about her. It was about sending a message that racism, whether on camera or off, has consequences. She didn't raise her voice, didn't get emotional, just stated the facts calmly and clearly. That actually made it more powerful because it showed she wasn't acting on emotion. This was a calculated decision. Karoline Leavitt's response was immediate and terrible. She said it was a misunderstanding, that Coco was overreacting, that she was being used politically, which is exactly the wrong thing to say when you're being accused of making racist comments. Doubling down and claiming the victim is overreacting just makes everything worse. It proves you don't understand why what you said was wrong. The network that aired the broadcast issued a statement that was clearly written by lawyers trying to avoid liability. It was one of those carefully worded non-apologies that expresses concern without actually admitting fault. They were more worried about sponsors pulling out and potential legal consequences than they were about the actual harm caused by allowing racist commentary on their platform. The media world split on this. Some outlets defended Karoline, claiming it was free speech or that people are too sensitive now. But the sports world united almost entirely behind Coco tennis legends, current players, athletes from other sports, celebrities. Everyone was posting messages of support. Coco's name became a rallying cry for accountability and consequences for racism in media. But while this was playing out publicly, Coco was dealing with a lot privately. Fighting a public battle is hard enough. Fighting it while also dealing with the emotional toll of being publicly attacked for your race is something else entirely. There were reports that Coco had moments of doubt, moments where she wondered if filing the lawsuit was the right decision, if she was ready for this fight. Her friends and family supported her through it. One conversation apparently had her friend telling her that she didn't choose this moment. The moment chose her, and she was handling it with more courage than anyone else could. That's probably what kept her going. Knowing that this was bigger than just her, that other people were watching and would be inspired by how she handled it. The lawsuit moved forward. Both sides presented their cases. Karoline's defense tried to argue it was a misunderstanding, that she didn't mean it the way it sounded, that Coco was being too sensitive. But when you have video evidence of what was said and when millions of people heard it the same way, that defense doesn't hold up well. Coco's legal team presented the comment, the context, the immediate public reaction, and the emotional harm it caused. They showed how the remark was specifically designed to diminish Coco based on her race. They demonstrated a pattern of similar comments from Karoline in the past. They built a case that this wasn't a one-time mistake, but part of a broader pattern of behavior. The courtroom was packed when the verdict came down. After hours of deliberation, the judge found Karoline Leavitt liable for defamation and civil rights violations. The network was also found responsible for allowing discriminatory speech on their platform. Damages were awarded. Though the exact amount wasn't immediately disclosed, the network was ordered to implement mandatory reforms and broadcast a formal apology during primetime. Coco won, completely and decisively. And Karoline Leavitt was left dealing with the consequences of thinking she could make racial remarks about one of the most popular athletes in the world without any repercussions. The instant regret must have been overwhelming, watching this spiral from a comment made in seconds to a months-long legal battle that ended in a massive judgment against her. What's interesting is how this case became bigger than just Coco and Karoline. It became a test case for whether public figures can face real consequences for racist remarks made in media settings. For years, people have gotten away with saying offensive things on air, offering half-hearted apologies, and moving on with their careers. Coco's lawsuit showed that's not acceptable anymore. The sports world particularly took notice because athletes, especially black athletes, have been dealing with racist commentary for decades. It's been normalized in many ways, treated as just part of being in the public eye. But Coco's willingness to fight back legally set a new precedent. She showed that athletes don't have to just accept this kind of treatment. They can demand accountability and win. After the verdict, Coco gave an interview where she explained her perspective. She said this wasn't about winning or getting money. It was about being seen and making sure others are seen too. She wanted people to know that your voice matters even when it shakes, even when the world tries to silence you. That message resonated with millions of people dealing with discrimination in their own lives. The impact on Karoline's career was immediate and severe. The network dropped her. Other media outlets refused to book her. Her reputation was destroyed. She went from being a political commentator with a growing platform to being unemployable in the industry, all because of one racist comment that she thought she could get away with. The network also faced consequences beyond the lawsuit. Sponsors pulled advertising. Viewership dropped. They had to implement new training programs and oversight procedures to prevent similar incidents. The whole organization was forced to reckon with how they allowed this to happen in the first place. What Coco did took incredible courage. She was already dealing with the pressure of being one of the top tennis players in the world, representing brands, managing expectations, dealing with injuries and training. Adding a high-profile lawsuit to all of that would break most people. But she handled it with grace and determination, never backing down, never letting the pressure make her quit. The lawsuit also highlighted how racism in sports commentary often gets overlooked. Analysts and commentators say things about black athletes that they would never say about white athletes, and it's been normalized for so long that people don't even notice anymore. Coco's case forced everyone to pay attention and acknowledge that this is a real problem that needs to be addressed. There's also something to be said about Coco using her platform this way. She could have just issued a statement condemning the remarks and moved on. Most athletes would have done that. But she chose to fight, to make it a legal matter, to force accountability through the court system that sends a much stronger message than a social media post ever could. The $25 million figure in the lawsuit was significant too. It wasn't some token amount. It was enough to hurt, enough to make people take it seriously, enough to show that racist remarks have real financial consequences. Whether she was awarded the full amount or not, the message was clear. This kind of behavior is expensive. Karoline's defense trying to claim it was a misunderstanding was particularly weak. When you make a comment that millions of people immediately recognize as racist, you can't claim nobody understood what you meant. The collective reaction proves that everyone understood exactly what was being said and why it was wrong. The network's responsibility in this is also important. They provided the platform, they broadcast the comment, and they initially tried to minimize the situation. The court finding them liable alongside Karoline established that media companies have a responsibility to prevent racist content from being aired. They can't just let commentators say whatever they want and then claim it's not their fault. Coco returning to tennis after all this with renewed energy and focus is also notable. She could have been distracted, bitter, or burned out from the legal battle. Instead, she used it as motivation. Every match she played after the verdict felt like another statement that she wouldn't be silenced or diminished by racist attacks. The legacy of this case will probably last for years. It established precedent for holding media figures accountable for racist remarks. It showed that athletes have legal options beyond just public statements. It demonstrated that taking a stand, even when it's difficult and exhausting, can lead to real change and consequences for those who think they're untouchable. So Karoline Leavitt made racist remarks about Coco Gauff on live TV, and Coco responded by filing a $25 million lawsuit that she won. The instant regret must have been brutal, watching a career implode over one comment. If you want to see more stories about people facing real consequences for their actions, hit that like button and subscribe.